Welcome to the 3BA podcast, where bourbon boners and being awesome isn't just a catchy tagline, but categories in which we discuss different topics every single day. My name's Garrett, and I'll be your host along this unique journey through the bourbon and whiskey craze, men's health, and everything that life throws at you in between. On this first/second Friday episode of Men's Health, in our second week, and I think on a regular basis, I think is going to be to my right on the screen, Mr. Jonny Pappas is back to join me for a Friday Men's Health episode. Jonny, how are you?
Oh, I'm just dandy, Garrett, as always. Doing wonderful.
Jonny was stressing out a little bit today for no reason whatsoever.
We're making things happen.
We are. We make things. That's what we do here at the 3BA podcast. We make things happen. You're making it happen. That's what I love. Jonny and I have been discussing this thing from the start for many, many weeks and months prior to even starting the 3BA podcast. We had been talking about doing a show together, and it didn't even necessarily have to be this. It just so happens that here we are. You know, we're in our first month of recordings through the 3BA podcast. You've already been on once. You were on last week. You were the inaugural BOW of the week, by the way.
BOW.
That's right, Badass of the Week. Did you hang your award somewhere at your house?
Yeah, right next to my wedding pictures.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, right.
For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a Dundee, and, you know, that was an Office reference, but he's going to hang his BOW award next to his Dundee at nighttime. So,
I don't have one, by the way, yet. I'm just clarifying that on the air.
Hey, we're getting there. We got some things to work out. That's one of them.
Yes, it is.
So last week on the Friday episode, we had a special guest come in and tell a story about testosterone replacement therapy that I
Check
thought,
your levels.
Yeah, I thought it was quite funny. It's not going to be like that every Friday, although I believe that you and I are probably going to get a couple. Well, we won't be talking about testosterone levels. Gosh, I hope not. But
yeah, we already did that.
Yeah, we did. We did that.
There's plenty of other things out there that we can look into.
there are, although that one was pretty funny. So to keep in the spirit of keeping it light and not getting too extremely deep or serious on a first you and I kind of co-hosting episode here, I was just going to tell the people about what you and I plan to do together, what we're talking about, what our focus is, what we discussed even prior to even beginning this adventure, and then give them a little bit of a taste of what's to come. Are you down with that?
I thought you got me scared a little bit when you said what we're going to do together.
What, like testosterone? We gonna take testosterone together? Or
no,
what?
I mean, you tend to spring things on me at the last minute, and I'm just glad that that's not what's happening right now.
Well, speaking up, no, I'm just kidding. That was
almost.
No, nothing of that sort right now. Maybe down the road, you know. And you're allowed to do the same to me. I like thinking on my feet, but
sure.
There's really not much to surprise anybody with on this particular episode. We just discussed it a little bit ago, and I think it's great to have a plan. But on tonight, I really wanted to say to everybody out there, this part of the episode, the men's health part of the episode, is something that we both take very seriously. I mean, would you agree?
I would agree. Yes. It might not seem like it. We're being very lighthearted right now, but yes, it is something that we are serious about.
Yeah. And we're going to be lighthearted as much as possible. Will there be some serious episodes? I'm sure. We're going to touch on some topics that him and I both believe in or feel very strongly about throughout the entirety of this podcast. That's the point, right? That's the point, to bring it to light. But right off the bat, my initial thoughts go to this. We both have been through in our lives a lot of different scenarios, good, bad, indifferent, that I think other people could benefit from learning from, right? Hearing experiences.
Yeah, they can relate. There's a lot of things that I feel people can relate to, and we're here, still standing.
Correct.
And it might be nice to hear how we got through things.
Sure, and also to tell people they're not alone, right? So here, I'll give it a perfect example of something I would like to talk about someday. I personally do not have children. You do. And
what?
Yeah, you
Wait,
have
I have kids?
you have kids, and for those out there who have children as well and find it hard to maybe juggle some of their own personal life with their children's lives, which I know that from your experience and seeing everybody else in my life with children, it doesn't really become your life anymore after you have kids. It's their lives and they take
Right.
over and their priority. And I understand that, but you're going to be able to speak to finding a balance, right? Finding some me time, some you and the wife time, right?
Yes. Yep. And that is important.
It's very, very important. And it's not easy, right? I mean, you have
No. Oh, no. So, I mean, I know this isn't the topic,
Sure.
but you figure after everybody else's stuff is done, then it's you and your spouse's time. But here's the thing, you've worked 8 hours in your day already.
Yep.
It is probably past 8 o'clock at night and you're exhausted. So you're giving each other both that last bit of energy that you have, and sometimes you just pass the hell out.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle.
Listen, I don't have kids and I still do that. I don't even have a girlfriend anymore, so I don't do that. And I get tired of myself, which I'm sure everybody else is at some point too. I meant of me,
Possibly.
not
Possibly. I can't speak for everyone. But
well, I mean, that's just one of them, right? So that's a topic I know
Yep.
that you're passionate about, finding time for your significant other. And I am too. Don't get me wrong. When I have a significant other, she takes precedence, and there's a lot of time and energy spent on other people. I mean, we could talk about everything. I think one of the episodes I wanted to talk about, managing, I talked about managing stress, and
right.
I want to talk about how you do it. How do you manage it? How do you juggle a job, kids, wife, personal time, working with your church, working with your small groups? I mean, you do a lot of different things. So that could be a whole episode in itself.
Possibly.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Keeping your faith strong. We don't necessarily have to go super preachy, so to speak, but we could talk about how whatever faith you believe in, how do you balance that with your everyday life? I mean, you could talk about cooking meals. I mean, dinner time, I'm sure with a family is
the popular question, right? The question that is asked, but nobody tells you about when you start to live your life is what's for dinner. You don't think about it until I'm freaking hungry.
Yep.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? And then as your kids grow, and it doesn't all have to be all kid focused here, but as your kids grow, I mean, I remember when I was a young lad, I would eat my parents out of house and home, right? They were always out of food. I was always hungry, and I can only imagine buying groceries for growing children. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and not even that. I mean, even if it's you or if it's you and your spouse or girlfriend or significant other, one of you's got to make something. Sure. And if you're both tired, had a long day, I know people who just order out food
all the time,
every day, and it's so not good for them, but that's all they have. That's all they can muster up.
Sure.
To do.
I think that's a huge talking point. The converse of ordering out, getting it to go, having DoorDash or Uber Eats or something along those lines versus cooking or making dinner. As simple as it may sound, that is a very big issue. Let's call it what it is. It's an issue. It's a challenge.
And it's multifaceted.
Oh, sure.
For
sure.
There's the financial aspect. There's the anxiety of not knowing what you want to make or what your spouse would want to make. And then there's just exhaustion.
Oh, yeah.
Is another thing. So, yeah, that's a whole nother topic that we could
Quality,
go into.
quantity, you got to add those in there. You touched on another one.
Yep.
We could talk about finances. We're not experts by any means. In fact, I'm probably the farthest from a financial expert.
And then I'm right behind you. So it's, we're...
But it might be a good...
It could be a do as we say, not as we do type of situation
for sure.
there.
For sure. And we've often talked on about what we're going to do on the 3BA podcast, where we're going to bring guests on who know way more about those topics than you and I, and we will
experts, people,
yes.
not us.
Yes,
experts.
We will bring them on to the podcast as well, and we'll do that on other episodes. I mean, just some other things too. You know, talking about hobbies. I know this is a hobby for you and I believe this is a hobby, but it's also something that we both were challenged with or challenged each other with. And, you know, I kind of, for those who don't know this, I drug you along and you drug me along. We were dragging each other along. And then I finally got you. Well, I think you chose to do this and I appreciate that. But I got you into this to where you're going to be hopefully next to me, if not every single week, at least the majority of some weeks here for some men's health episodes. So, you know, hobbies. What else do you do? What else are you into? You know, there's something behind me, which you're not here with me on this particular episode, but there is something behind me that I have a pretty big hobby that I'm pretty big into. And you have them as well. You know, one of them is, I don't know if you're as big into it now, but it used to be
video
there
games?
It is. Video games.
Okay.
Jonny used to have a super high player score level achievement.
Gamer score.
Yeah. See, I was waiting for you to chime in there.
I was an achievement whore is what the term used most was. Yep. And I would do the crazy stuff
nobody else ever did.
Gets you 10 points on your gamer score, but I would spend hours on doing it. I actually was thinking about this today and how I haven't played video games in a very long time. It's more of it was an escape. It wasn't really a getting me anywhere type of situation. And so the amount of time that I was spending on video games versus the amount of time I wasn't spending with my family, the family time started to outweigh things, and I saw I was missing that. But it is still, you know, it was still a hobby. I still have my favorite games. I still have, you know, my son's getting into it now, so he's, you know, we have that to bond with. My oldest daughter, we have a funny story about that at either her birthday party or something, and we ended up playing. She played upstairs against me downstairs, and everybody was rooting her on upstairs. Well, nobody was downstairs rooting for me.
I seem to
remember
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And she won.
Did.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I'm glad you're.
I was playing a game that she plays.
Listen, I'm glad that you're talking about this, because here is, I mean, this unscripted, not our point of this particular episode, but you're already getting into something that we definitely need to address, and not necessarily between you and I or specifically you, but just out there to the world, is you have to make time for yourself. You have to.
Yep.
Yes, you have family. Yes, you have, you know, everything that's pulling you into different directions, but you always have to take care of yourself, because let's call it what it is. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anything else, right? So if you start to crumble and you start to falter, you could put all your effort and energy and you could give your whole life to your family and your children and your wife and your significant other. But if you aren't able to do so, it's not going to help anybody. In fact, it's just going to hurt everybody. So we're not getting deep on this particular episode. I just believe you just touched on something. You got to have something for you, even if it's video games or a podcast or a night out with your wife where you both recharge, or maybe to your
or poker night, or you know, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
taking some time for you, and maybe it's bi-weekly, maybe it's, you know, once a month, maybe if you can't squeeze it in once a day, which I understand, and again, I'm not in the same place you are, where I think that's what's going to give us a cool unique view and different sides of issues that we're going to talk about. Is you and I are in different places. Both physically, like right now we're in different places, but also
we are definitely not next to each other.
But also we're in different stages of our lives, and I believe that's going to give a unique kind of vision and view to this podcast. So, you know, on top of that, I was just thinking of some other topics while you were talking about the video game topic. We could talk about what our favorite, you know, just something as simple as what are our favorite things to do with significant others, ideas for dates, or I can give you the aspect of being single and going on dates with people. I'm obviously not an expert. I'm single, so let's take it for what it's worth here. My advice might not be the best.
Hey, I can guarantee that you've been on dates with more people at different locations than I probably have.
That's a fair assessment. But you obviously did something right that I haven't been able to figure out yet. So let's call it what it is here.
Yeah, I still don't know how I got her, but
let's call a spade here. We could talk about what do you think of before you even start your day? What's a good practice to get into? Having a positive mindset instead of waking up and going through the motions. I was thinking about this right when you were telling the story. Your family, you were kind of missing some things, but I feel as though you've gotten back into the family structure.
Yep.
Without going to video games, take that aside. Making breakfast in the morning and having a couple words with your kids while you still can, before they get too old and they grow out of the wanting to talk to dad stage, or even just getting them ready for school or getting them to where they're going, or, packing their lunch, or just, I don't know. Again, these are things you can speak a little bit more to, but those are things I think we should talk about. What do you do in the morning before you leave? What's a good practice to get into? Even if it is literally 1 full minute of breathing. I don't know about you, but I have an Apple product that reminds me every single day to breathe. It annoys me, but I can see why it does it. Taking a breath.
Right. There's people that need that.
Taking a breath or taking a minute to yourself. I want to talk about our career paths. I think talking about, job time and changing jobs. I think that's a big thing in the men's health department.
Especially in the world right now.
Oh, for sure.
We're in the middle of the Great Resignation.
Yes.
We're in the middle of the quiet quitting.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of things out there that are going on.
I like that you just threw a lot of buzzwords in there. Look at you.
I did, but it's, that's what it is,
Yeah. You're absolutely on par. You're right. You're hitting the nail on the head. I am just amazed at the longevity of your career. And I'm saying that with full sincerity. You have been in your department /
17
world.
years.
Yeah, 17 years. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. The longest, see, and this is horrible to admit, the longest I stayed at one position, with one company, it wasn't the same position, was a little over 5 years. That was my first foray into sales and my first career move, and it's been a roller coaster ever since. I recommend to anybody out there listening, if you want to age yourself way past your actual years, join sales tomorrow. But if you don't want to have the stress of the sales world on your shoulders every single day and starting over every single week, month, year, get into another line of work. But that's for another day.
But I digress.
but I digress. But yeah, so those are a lot of the topics. Again, just some different episodes that I think we can delve deeper into and bring light to. And if you have out there, we're just starting off, but if you have suggestions out there that you want to hear about from us, obviously feel free. Yeah.
Comment.
Feel free to ask, comment, reply. You're going to be able to watch us. You're going to be able to listen to us. There's a lot of different ways to contact us. Also, I would be amiss not to recognize you as our social media expert. He's getting used to it, folks. He's practicing, and
Yes, I don't know if I'm an expert. I would say I'm doing it. Yes, expert.
He's
not
doing
so
it.
much.
I will be participating more. I promise. I will get more involved. He's just done a great job to start off, and it was kind of dumped into his lap right off the bat.
Hey, when you're starting something like this, it needs done. You do it. That's what it was.
I like it.
So,
well, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to do for this particular episode, the men's health episode. Here we are in week 2, and I just wanted to tell everybody what they're in store for. I thought the first week's episode was quite humorous, and wanted to put that one
yeah.
out there. We don't have any testosterone stories, so I'm sure there's going to be listen. There's going to be a lot of stories. Johnny and I have a lot of stories, so
we go back a long way.
So just be prepared for. There's going to be a lot of stories, and hopefully we can involve you in said stories, not to the point where we're going to tell you about something that you had to be there for. We're going to try to get you to actually visualize and make yourself see what we're trying to describe to you. At least that's my goal with this particular podcast. So, Johnny, I just wanted to say one more time, man, I'm excited. I'm glad you're doing this with me.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Being the social media person, subscribe, follow, comment. We'd love to hear from you guys.
We're gonna be getting one of those things at the end of the episodes here soon. I promise. That I feel like that's coming very quickly.
That's good. I look forward to that.
All right. Well,
I won't have to do
exactly.
this.
Well, and by the way, be thinking of this. A sign off for the men's health episodes. Stay healthy or stay.
Look out for each other.
I'm gonna do like a fist pump motion. I know you can't see me. Stay strong, if you know what I mean. I'm referencing.
Oh man.
The boner aspect.
Yeah.
Stay strong out there, men, and everyone who watches and listens.
Yep, not just men. Everybody.
Not just men. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining. Seriously, come back and see us. I'm excited for what's to come. And until next time, you ready? Stay strong out there.
Stay strong. We are finding something else.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
We don't have to say bye.
I know, but I can edit it out.